Oregon Cash Flow Pro offers free money management advice to help you take control of your finances. And now here's your host, personal finance enthusiast and licensed insurance broker, James Barber.
Good evening, everybody. Let's make sure my microphone's on. All right, looks like it's working on my end. David, how you doing? Let me know my mic's on. Good job on space, thank you. Thank you, space did take off this afternoon. Welcome to Oregon Cash Flow Pro. My name is James Barber. I'm here to help you maximize your cash flow. This is our Wealth Care Wednesday. This is when you get to ask the questions. I get to provide as much answers as I can. Maybe some other folks in the chat can help out if I don't know. And all together, we can all just do a little bit better with our caring for our wealth. We need to take a bit of time out of our week, not just talking stocks all the time, not just talking trades, although that can be a part of our wealth. We really want to discuss how we move money. What are you guys doing to maximize your cash flow? I'm interested in making sure that you guys are doing everything you can. You don't want to neglect. You don't want to neglect parts of your wealth. Okay? It helps to have a plan. It helps to plan for retirement. It helps to make sure that you're moving your money effectively. So that's what Wealth Care Wednesday is all about. Let's see what we can do to help you out today. We plan on going for about an hour. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little tired today. It's been a long week. I know it's only the middle of the week, but whew, I have not been getting much sleep. Stock Journey, good evening. You guys had quite the conversation going. I'm not going to be able to... I might be able to retire in 2021. Unfortunately, I'm not investing all of that much money yet. We'll see. I'm going to need a lot more gains than a couple of bucks on space. Because I burned my hands on that as we talked about last week. I got burnt on it last week, so I didn't have as much into it. I only had a little bit into it when today shot up. But a couple of those should do pretty good when market opens tomorrow. In fact, I had about 10 calls. I had 10 open calls on space today, and the stock price kept going up, presumably because Virgin Orbit was going to take off this weekend. And I figured, well, last time it peaked on Wednesday and came down before a flight, and it wasn't even Virgin Orbit, it was Virgin Galactic getting ready to fly. This time it's not even Virgin Galactic getting ready to fly, and it's going up. So I sold out of 5 of those during the day, figured I'd come back in when it drops down. And then we find out that Kathy Woods is going to start a space exploration ETF. And that's when this thing took off. So it jumped up $4 in the aftermarket, 14%. Looks like it's retraced a little bit. It was a little bit higher than that at one point, but it has come back. So immediately, as soon as I heard it, I saw the spike happen. It jumped up $2, and I bought in. I bought in 500 shares in the aftermarket. It hit 31 and change, and I sold out of half of those because at that time I still hadn't verified that the ETF was there. And or that the ETF news. Basically, I made the assumption that we heard about the ETF probably because she had already started buying in, and everybody is assuming she hasn't. Well, it turns out she probably hasn't because the ETF is not around yet. It was a filing that got leaked, and so, anyways, it went up a little bit more. I sold another 100, so I'm still sitting on 200 shares of it that I picked up in the aftermarket at 29, so we're still sitting up on that, but we'll sit on those, see if it comes back down a little bit tomorrow as things calm down. But I expect I'll probably close out of my other options, buy back in when this thing comes back down a little bit. If it comes back down, I mean, maybe it'll go back up once everybody gets a chance to come back in. We shall see. I know a lot of people are thinking this could get up to $35 a share. I don't know where that price came from. I heard it from a number of people, though. So somebody started that rumor out there at that specific number. Not sure why. What do you guys think? Jones, how's it going? Good evening. All good? If you were to teach someone infinite banking one-on-one, how long would it take? That's a good question. I mean, obviously it's going to vary by the person, but it's a big part of it is going to be how much knowledge will they have coming into it. So that is the reason I created all the videos that I made, because my hope is that somebody watches those videos so you can get an understanding before we talk. And then, of course, it's going to depend on how quickly you can absorb information. I do one-on-ones every day with people that are still learning and they have questions. And a lot of what I do is we go through an illustration and I walk you through step by step what we do to set up a proper policy and why we do it and how it works. I don't think we go through the whole thing from A to Z on infinite banking. In fact, I'm sure we don't. You've got to start off. You'd probably start off around M or N, and I take you a bit of the way there. But there's going to be some more questions that you're going to need to research and answer, probably going back to some of my videos. When you get into a one-on-one with me, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hose, because I go through everything that you need to know on it, or I try to go through everything you need to know, and I probably go a little too far on what you can absorb in just one sitting. So that's a good question, but I don't know. I don't exactly know the answer. We can certainly try and figure it out, though. Try and figure it out all the time. Oliver, how do you transfer a 401k to a Roth? You've been maxing out your 401k every paycheck. You want to use it to invest without taxes. Okay, a couple of things. One, check with your work and see if they offer a Roth option for your 401k. Oftentimes, you can just switch that into a Roth option within your 401k. Number two, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to have control over it so that you can do the trading yourself. Most 401ks don't allow you the opportunity to do that. In that case, you want to see if your work gives you the opportunity to roll it out of there. A lot of businesses do not give you that type of access to your 401k. You don't get that kind of access until you leave, and then you can roll out of it. Some of them do, though. If they don't, your next step is going to be, will they allow you to borrow against your 401k? Because you could borrow against your 401k and use that to open up a Roth. It's not the same as rolling it into a Roth, but you can open up a Roth. Or, yeah, that's probably going to be how you'd have to do it. You'd have to just open up a Roth. You could open up an IRA and fund the IRA with what you borrow from your 401k, but you're still limited on how much you can put into it. Best scenario, your work will allow you to do that rollover, but you're going to have to check with your employer because this is employer specific. When my wife worked for a law firm for 20 plus years, she had a 401k there, and they wouldn't allow her to touch it at all as far as taking money out of it or borrow against it while she was employed there. So we had no access to the money. A couple of years ago, we wanted access to it. Problem solved. She quit. She ended up moving into a job which she's really enjoying. You know, she was at the law firm for 20 plus years. She was ready for something new. So now she works for a nonprofit working with autistic kids, autistic adults, transitioning them to living on their own. So she's really happy doing that, and we got access to the 401k, which we ended up rolling it out into a solo 401k, and that opened up all sorts of possibilities with what we could do with it. So yeah, I would check into doing that, and then we also opened up a Roth 401k. So we did a solo 401k and a solo Roth 401k, and so we've got funds in both of those. So that's another thing that you can look at doing if you have self-employment. So if you have a business, you can look into opening up a solo 401k. you can have that along with your work 401k, as long as the contributions to both of them don't exceed the annual maximum. So in this case, you could borrow from your 401k from your work, fund your other 401k with it. And then on your regular paychecks, you'll just pay back your work 401k. That's one way that you could do that. So I would check into that. That's probably the best option. If you don't have a business, why not? Start a business. It's easy. Anybody can do it. Open up an LLC. You could do it for stock trading. You could start your own business stock trading. You're going to have some income. You're going to have to do something with income, though, in order to be able to do your 401k. Well, that's not true. You could roll over into it without having income. But if you're going to do new contributions to it, you're going to have some income to show. So whatever job you end up doing, you could drive for Uber. You could drive for Uber or Lyft. Make some money that way, and that'll give you the ability to contribute to your solo 401k. All right? Yeah. What you're able to contribute is going to be limited based on your income. Now, I don't know the exact dollar amounts for all of that stuff, the exact contributions, because I just don't dig into the details on that. I dig into all the details on everything else that I'm working on right now. And I'm not really making any contributions to our 401k right now. I am just contributing to the Roth, and I'm contributing to basically just our after-tax account that I'm doing trades in. So that's where all of the action is happening in my account right now. I probably need to spend some time and provide a little wealth care to my situation in that regard. So thanks for bringing that up. I definitely got to get that on my list of things to do. Hopefully that helps you out, Oliver. Stock taxes coming up. People need to get ready. You got one of your 1099 forms so far. Your TD Ameritrade should come in February. Yes. You should start receiving all of your tax forms from your brokerages, from any side jobs that you're doing or any jobs you're doing if you're self-employed. Any major accounts, you'll probably be receiving 1099s. Let's see. Any type of interest you've earned, you'll get a 1099. Probably get one from your mortgage company. There's all kinds of places you'll be getting 1099s from. Don't misplace them. Any dividends you get, you'll get a 1099. Keep an eye out for those. Don't lose them. David, did I buy any NGA? No, I still have not gotten any NGA. Nope. How did it end up? Up 9% today. Not bad, not bad. Oh, that's up 9% in the aftermarket. Very good. Very good in the aftermarket today. I don't know what it did in the regular day, but it's at 929. Ron Parks, DPW making a move aftermarket. Can I see any news? You can't find any. DPW. Let's take a look. DPW Holdings. What is DPW? Digital Power Corporation, formerly Digital Power Corporation, engaged in the design, manufacture, and sale of power systems solutions for the applications in the medical, military, telecom, and industrial market. The company operates through two segments, North America and Europe. It offers a range of products. And the only news is showing it was one of the big movers in the aftermarket. Apparently there was news this AM. Something else is up though. What's up? Don't know. They're going to be. They have an arm called Digital Power Lending that'll provide business loans collateralized by Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that must be that early news. Maybe it's just getting around for some reason. DPW Holdings is going to change its name to Alt Global. That was announced a few days ago. But business loans collateralized by Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's interesting. That's an interesting approach. So it jumped up 47% in the aftermarket hours. Wow. What a nice jump. Let's see. When did it jump? It jumped about an hour and a half after market closed. Why would it jump? You got me? You know what? Probably need to check Twitter. Hang on a second. Let me check Twitter. Twitter is often a place to find breaking information. DPW. 4 hours ago, DPW on Amazon just went live. It's a residential level 27 kilowatt single EV charger. Is that for DPW? Level 2 charging of plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and all electric. The Tesla adapter will be provided separately. Coolisys is the description. I don't see that it's DPW unless they're a one of the product names. Let me go back to Webull. Let's see. It offers a range of product variety, including custom product design, standard and modified standard products. Switching power rectifiers include defense and commercial custom power products, server power supplies, front end, open end and closed, compact, micro, desktop wall mount adapters, power over Ethernet, and other product solutions. Its product power ranges from 10 watts to 75,000 watts. The company's subsidiary, DPL, operates under the brand name of Gresham Power Electronics. DPL designs, manufactures, and sells power products and system solutions for the European marketplace. So that was somebody tagged that company with that Amazon listing. So maybe that is one of theirs. It says the manufacturer is Coolisys Technology Corp. It's interesting. Doesn't have a price. Because it's out of stock. Yeah, it looks like this is Coolisys. I don't see that Coolisys is a DPW company. So I'm not sure. Let me see what the comments here say. Somebody's saying this is a pump and dump. Oh, Coolisys is DPW Holdings. Here we go. Somebody has a thing here. Coolisys is a part of DPW Holdings. But somebody's saying that this charger is a scam. And it's a pump and dump. This person says they've been digging a lot into the company, their CEO. It's a scam. Their headquarters don't exist. This person says they went there. It's a nice pump and dump once a month, but nothing else. Interesting. Okay, so be wary. Be wary out there, all right? Be careful. Definitely a good... I enjoy Twitter, though. Twitter's a good place for breaking news. Is all the money that go into a Roth already taxed? Oliver says. Yes, you got to pay for it. You got to pay your tax up front. And then the growth in it is tax-free. Stock Journey. You feel a bit guilty for buying POWW. It's ammo stock. You were thinking, election hostility, why not? Hey, you know what? It is what it is. You got to go where the money's moving. Chris Birch. I'm a gem. Thanks. Sharing this info is pure gold. You're a small biz guy that's learned in the last few years of IRA, self-directed IRA, 401k. You're welcome. You're welcome. And T. I'm not sure what you were, if you were meaning to continue that sentence, but it got cut off at T. Biggest thing to know, there are self-directed IRAs. Biggest difference between a self-directed IRA and a solo 401k. Both of them you can have checkbook control over if you have the right custodian. However, with a self-directed IRA, you cannot use leverage without a major penalty. You get what's called the unrelated business income tax, which is like 50% tax if you use leverage. Meaning, like, if you buy real estate inside of your IRA and you want to use a bank loan for that, that's leverage. And if you use that leverage, the gains that you're going to get on that property are going to be subject to that unrelated business income tax of 50%. With a solo 401k, you do not get those penalties. There are no UBIT taxes. So something to keep in mind. Nick, hanging out and listening, trying not to start the stock talk. You got more to offer us. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I'm hoping to expose you guys. I'm hoping to use this time to expose you to something other than stocks. Because we do that for a couple of hours each day already, right? But, you know, I mean, this does give you the opportunity to ask questions, and I'm not focused on trading. I'm not focused on watching the market. I'm just trying to help. Stock wants to buy NGA, but it's so high right now. Yeah, that was my feeling, too. That was why I didn't get in on it during the day when he brought it up to me. Sometimes you just got to pull that trigger, though, huh? So I appreciate the efforts, Dave. Blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin broke through 35,000 resistance. Am I bullish on crypto? Yes. Yes, I'm bullish on it long term. Even though it's hurting me in the short term. Let me see where it's at here. Still down on Ethereum from when I got into it. So, yeah, Ethereum went up a bit. Now it's on its way back down, and I'm still hoping it'll catch back up. I missed my sell point. This weekend. I was watching the market. Now, one thing I did get in on was CCIV. That one went up 11% in the aftermarket. So that was cool. It went up 18% today, which I got in partway through that. And then I got out of some of it. But I'm still in on some of it. So that'll be good. If we're doing stocks, hope you see the news you posted about Nano in Discord. I did not see that. It must have been after I was looking at it. Whew. Man, it's been a long day and I still got more work to do. Let's see. Stock Journey. You're gassing up your car in Fortnite. Don't judge you. Always got to check financials and locations. That's what you look at. You use Google Earth. What do you mean by that? What do you look at using Google Earth? Ron Parks, maybe that was why you could not find anything. Thanks for looking. You're welcome. Oliver, what are your thoughts of Starlink? You're thinking of signing up for their beta, but it's almost $700. If you're in an dense urban environment, you probably don't need it. I don't think you're going to qualify for their beta. They're putting it out to northern latitudes and mostly rural areas where people really need it right now. But I don't think it would hurt to sign up for it. I'm excited for it. Who knows? It'll probably come down in the future. So the people that are going to get the most use out of it and putting out that $700 is going to be your rural folks who need the faster connectivity than they could otherwise get from just telephone lines and satellite that they currently have access to. Because I'll tell you, before cable came here, like I only just got cable last year. And that was when I started doing my live streams because I finally had enough bandwidth that I could do it. Before that, it was really bad. We had really bad internet at home. It was decent, but I couldn't do a live stream. But there's people that have way worse internet than I do. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm like 5 miles outside of town. Have I seen the reviews on YouTube for Starlink? No. I've seen videos of it. And I've seen videos on Twitter for it. Top Gun, you're here. Hope you didn't miss much. Not yet. Chris Birch. Okay. Yeah, limited text. Ubit is the real deal. Thanks for the mention. Hopefully your followers know this. If they didn't, they do now. Stock Journey. Use Google Earth to identify fraudulent companies, pump and dumps. Oh, gotcha. Very nice. Step 2 in your due diligence plan. That's a good idea. Hey, look up Tesla for me. Make sure they're building those factories. I'm just kidding. Oliver, good info. You're in LA. You live 5 to 10 minutes from SpaceX. You'll hold off for the $700. Yeah, most likely you can get it faster. If you're near any type of major metro, you'll get a much faster speed and cheaper from the existing fiber. And Starlink, they're going to need to keep dumping out a lot more satellites before they get up to that. And before it's wide enough coverage, basically. But it's definitely useful. I would love to do it because, you know, you could have access even when you're out camping. That's where it would be awesome. I would love to be able to do that and just go travel, but still do all my live streams. Although, even just to check and do my stocks, that would be awesome. Oliver, is trading crypto as fun as stocks? Trading crypto, it can be. It is very volatile, and you got to have a system for watching it. So you got to have some indicators. If you don't have indicators that you're going by and you want to just stick to those indicators religiously, it can be fun. It can definitely be profitable. Otherwise, you know, if you're just buying into it and hold it, that works okay too, as long as you're okay to ride out the ups and downs. But it's very volatile, and there's nothing underlying it. That's the problem. So you don't have any fundamentals. There's no earnings report to come out to boost it back up. So the only thing that you're waiting on if it goes down is you're waiting for everybody else to realize, oh yeah, this is worth more than this. Let me buy back in for higher. Now, I do expect that to happen, especially as we keep putting out a lot more dollars into the environment. Basically, it's not so much that it's going to dilute the dollar. I'm not too worried about deflation on the dollar or inflation on the dollar. Not at this point, because right now it's being offset by the lack of spending among the people that are hurting due to the pandemic and the job losses. After that, though, if they don't scale it back, when everybody starts to fully participate in the economy again, that's where we're going to have to worry about it. If they don't scale back that spending, you can't have both of those spendings at the same time. That's when we're going to get inflation. Okay, the government can take those dollars off the market every tax season if they want to. It can take the extra dollars off. It's just a matter of do they or will they. Right now, They're basically pumping money into the market. It's not really creating new money. Okay? It's not really creating new money. But it is providing some support and some guarantees that would not otherwise be there. So when that goes away, we could definitely see a lot of things go down. We'll see a lot of people's paper wealth go down. That's when we'll find out. We'll find out what kind of inflation we're going to look forward to. So, good question. But that's a lot of people believe that there's going to be inflation because of that. That's what I was getting at. A lot of people are going to believe there's going to be inflation because of that, and so they're going to be buying the crypto. That's what's going to bump up the price. More people using it and believing in it and willing to sit on it, buy it and sit on it, especially on the ones that are limited in production, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I don't know enough about Ethereum, but I know Bitcoin is limited on how many there's going to be. And so people see that as a strong hedge against inflation. And when there's a lot of belief that inflation's inevitable because of all the spending, which is what everybody keeps talking about, people are going to move to crypto. I'm okay with that. And with more and more people adopting it, institutional players, you get banks that are able to trade in it. You got credit cards coming out that are going to be working on it. You got Bitcoin ATMs. All of these different opportunities for people to have access to it, along with the belief that it's going to continue to be worth more, it's going to help pump it up. Doesn't mean it can go up forever like that, because it does rely on people believing in that underlying value. So as long as there's a utility use for it, that can be helpful in order to keep it propped up. And then you have the store of value as well. I don't see people using it as both. Like, you're not going to have Bitcoin that's going up 20% a week. People aren't going to be spending that on regular goods. It's a losing trade, right? So you're going to have to use some kind of coin if you're using crypto. You're going to have to use some kind of an altcoin that is seen more as that type of daily use. And maybe that's where Ethereum comes in. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that. In fact, I do a crypto live stream now on Saturdays. We did our first one last Saturday. It was a hit. People enjoyed it. We did some day trading during it, and I'll continue to do that. We'll watch the prices, do some trading, show you what indicators that I was using during that, which I did good Saturday using it. Failed miserably on Sunday because I was away from it and I didn't see it. Made a couple of trades based on how it was moving, and they were not good trades. That's why I say you gotta have an indicator that you're willing to use. Oliver, crypto's another ballgame. You're sure Tesla has trained us well for volatility, but no earnings report, no catalyst. That's tough. Yep, exactly. Stock journey. So you're not individually buying coins, but buying miners. You think it's still super early for the rising crypto? What do you think? Yeah, I mean, buying miners is a good way to do it. How are you buying miners? Tell me how you're buying miners. That's an interesting approach. I like that. Oliver, you feel like the Fed will do anything to not let crypto win? Possibly. It is crypto. Crypto can be a threat as a monetary unit, as something to replace the dollar, but it's like similar to gold. If crypto acts like gold, it's not really a threat. Although at one point, when we were trading on the gold standard, at that point it was kind of a threat and the government had a lot of control over it. We're not going to be on the Bitcoin standard. We'll still have the dollar standard, I believe. I don't think we're going to be switching over to the Bitcoin standard. Now, the U.S. government could come up with their own digital currency. That's possible. And they could call it the dollar. And it could trade exactly the same as all the paper dollars, right? I don't know if it'd get the same type of buy-in, because obviously the creation of it would be at the whim of the government, which is kind of why people are navigating towards Bitcoin and those other things, is they don't want something that's dominated by the government. But the government does have control over a lot of stuff. They can track who's spending it. They can choose to tax it in whatever way they want to tax it. And that's what you got to watch out for the Bitcoins and crypto. So yeah, they if they don't want it to win, they'll stop it, right? I mean, it'll go back to the black market. Part of its success early on was because it was in the black market, and it had a lot of value there because of its anonymity. Well, now that it's being exposed to the mass market, the feds are taking away some of that anonymity. So it's taken away some of that value that it had in the black market. So if the government decides that it wants to control it, wants to tax it, wants to trade it, which it does, and it's already wanting to treat it like an asset, and it says if you're making gains in it, you should be claiming it. And they're putting up regulations around the wallets and how you have to have ID and those kind of things so that they can identify who's doing the trading. It's going to lose that value that it had due to anonymity, but it's gaining value due to mass adoption. So there's trade-offs. Bitcoin wouldn't be at 40,000 a coin right now if it was still only trading due to the anonymity and what it could get on the black market. So, James, you sold your Ethereum. Haven't seen a good buy in since. I hear you. Yep. Chris Birch, you listened to my 820s prediction today. Missed out on 4,500. Dang him. Oh, what do you mean? You thought it was going to go down to 820, and so you missed getting it at 830? Is that what you're talking about? Now remember, where did we end up today? We ended up at 854. After market, we're at 843, which is about what I said we would be. My best guess was 840, where we end the day. We ended at 854, but it was up and down. But I put out multiple scenarios. I said bearish case was 820. Looked like where it could dip down to. We ended up getting down to about 831. And then I said mid-bearish case would have been 840. Mid-bullish case, 860, 860-ish. And then a bullish case, maybe 884. So we ended up right between the mid-bearish and the mid-bullish. Although definitely closer to the mid-bullish when it ended. Now, it did drop after hours, and it seems that was due to the announcement that there's a recall. An HSTA has announced a recall of some older Model S and X's, one of the chips that functions, that does the screens, the displays. And this is old news. It's not new news. So we're expecting news to come out tomorrow on what day the earnings report's going to be for Tesla. And I'm planning on talking about that at the beginning of tomorrow's live stream. So it's kind of interesting timing. I don't think the NHSTA would time it to do this. But it is funny that the news is breaking, that they're announcing it the day before we're expected to come up with some earnings. And it's a discount right now. In my opinion, this is a discount. If I had the opportunity, I would be buying right now. But I'm already in for the shares that I'm going to be in on. Which I'm in for probably right around this price that it's currently at. So, no big deal. Northwest Pearl, did you hear about Tesla having a recall 150,000 vehicles over touchscreen glitches? Ah, there you go. I just addressed it. Yes, I did. And it was old news. This was something that came out months ago. Tesla's already been dealing with it. I think it just became official. So, Stock Journey. You think right now Mara is number one for mining Bitcoin. Oh, that's what Mara and Riot, right? Mara's number one for mining Bitcoin, which is why price fluctuates so rapidly. I'd rather choose miners within cryptocurrency to slow down the quick price drops. Sort of like your hedge play and crazy price swings. Do you know what I mean? I do know what you mean. Good, good. CDG, good evening. You've seen articles talking about how this COVID bill passed in December had in it a change to IRS code 7702 that modified the 4% interest rate in cash value life insurance. Have I heard or read anything about it? I have heard something about that. In fact, I signed up to do a webinar on it, but the webinar hasn't happened yet, or else I missed it. I signed up for the webinar, but I don't remember. I have not attended it yet. All right, let's see. Oh, I missed it. It was January 8th. I was busy that day. Somebody probably signed up for a meeting. So there is some interest rate changes. I will look up and find out what those are. I have not had a chance to follow up on it. So that will be interesting. What I did hear about is it could change, or it does change, how MEC limits are configured. I'm hoping that's good news. Like we can contribute more and still maintain that non-modified endowment contract. So that was the inkling. Yeah, you're wondering what the impact was going to be. My understanding was that it's going to affect the MEC limits, and it sounded like it was beneficial to it. So we'll see. James says, Fubo took off today, but it still felt sketchy. Bailed and bought back in, but it fell a bit more after 1500. Dang you, Robinhood, for such a small after-hours window. I hear you. That's the rough thing about Robinhood. If you're not in Webull, get in Webull so you have the opportunity to trade full aftermarket hours and pre-market hours. My referral link is right there in the chat. And if you're not a part of Webull, use that referral link. You get 4 free stocks worth a minimum of $8 a stock if you deposit $100. That's an immediate 32% return, and you don't even have to spend the $100. But you can. You can get free trades on crypto. You can get free trades with options and stocks. Everything's free on Webull, and you get a great platform for all the news, all the stock information, earnings, all the filings, the regulatory filings that each company makes gets put on their site. You get access to a whole bunch of the indicators and good charts. So it's a really great platform. If you're not on it, highly recommend it. And if you use my referral code, I get some free stocks as well. So you're helping out the channel. You get a chance to help out the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. In fact, you get paid to help out the channel with those free stocks. Trini King, thoughts on NGA? You just bought a ton. David Yad, what's your last name, David? Yadagarian? Haven't said it in my head for a long time. Yadagarians. David Yadagarians talks about it quite a bit. I would ask Dave. Ask Dave for specifics. I haven't looked into it, haven't done my due diligence, but he's been pushing it for the last couple of days on my live stream. You just bought a ton. Good luck. If you bought it before the market, before after hours, you're up 10% already. 9.3%. So congratulations. Oliver, you can trade crypto 24/7? Yes. Yep. On Webull and on Robinhood. On any other platform as well. So it works out pretty good. Crypto's crazy. You can see people on it all night. Yep. Absolutely. So I spent some time doing that. Kelman, good evening. Good evening. Mike Jones, good evening. How are you guys doing? So we're in the middle of our Wealth Care Wednesday live stream. If you guys have questions about your wealth, maximizing your cash flow, let me have it. My goal is to help make sure that you guys are moving your money efficiently, taking advantage of every opportunity you have out there to help increase your wealth. Or protect your wealth, if the case may be. So, life insurance. That's my main day job. But it's not just to sell life insurance. The reason I do that, I chose to do that because I can do specially designed high cash value policies that provide safety and guarantees that you don't get in any other investments, along with a nice death benefit. So for me, I have a really nice hefty death benefit that I know even if I'm not successful in all of my activities in growing my wealth, at the end of the day, I'm going to pass along to my beneficiaries a nice hefty death benefit as if I did succeed in all of these efforts. So it's kind of nice to have that. It provides a sense of security. And then also, it gives me, because I specially designed it for high cash value growth, I don't have my money tied up in it. What I did was I put my money into it, and then I borrowed almost all of it back out. And I'm trading with it. So now I'm getting the advantage of being able to trade, do my trading with it. You know, they say buy term and invest the difference. Well, I bought high cash value whole life insurance, and I'm still investing it. I'm still investing with it. So I'm doing both. I get a nice big death benefit. I still get the growth from me being in charge of my cash by making whatever investments I want to make. And I get that death benefit backing me up, along with the guaranteed growth that comes along with it. Or the protection from downsides, whatever the case may be, if I'm going whole life or IUL. Leon, how's it going, man? James, Weeble's on your to-do list. As soon as you have an extra 100 to toss into it. You already dumped what you could into Robinhood for now. Also heard about CPSH, but not before it doubled yesterday. I don't know CPSH. Which one's that one? Leon, feeling a bit sick. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you're just kidding. Okay. This is wealth care, not health care Wednesday. Oliver, imagine if the stock market was open 24/7, you could trade Tesla all night. That would make weekends fun. Yeah, but when would you rest? When would I rest? It's kind of nice. I mean, at least to have one day off. I wouldn't mind having 6 days a week. But it is kind of nice to have an end date throughout the day. So my life insurance is my hedge against day trading. It is. Not kidding. Absolutely. You got to have a specially designed policy, though. So a lot of people complain about whole life insurance or IULs, and they say it's only the agent that makes money on those. One, not true in every case. Two, it is true in some cases. So people can design really terrible policies for cash growth, and ones that just pay the agents exorbitant commissions. The way I design these, high cash value, that means high cash value in year one, not no cash value, which a poorly designed policy tends to have no cash value for the first couple years. It doesn't break even until year 15 to 20. And when I say break even, I mean you have more cash value available inside the policy than you've contributed, than you've paid into it. The policies I design, you get 87, 85, 80 to 90% cash value, depends on the company you go with, in year one. Within the first 10 days, or within the first 30 days, typically, you have access to 80 to 90% of the cash value you put into it. That makes a big difference in the growth potential and your ability to contribute to it without having to lock up your gains, or without having to lock up those funds for a long time. So whole life insurance, I love to treat it as a good place to store emergency funds and capital expense accounts. Things that you might otherwise not do anything with it. You just have it sitting in a savings account or a checking account, not doing anything for you. You're not maximizing the use of those dollars. You could put that into a whole life policy and do it in the first year. You only lose access to 10% of it. Well, if you have a nice healthy emergency fund, you're not going to use 100% of it. Even in the case of an emergency, you're only going to need access to some of that, right? Well, you've still got access to 90% of it in the first year. And we can design those so that it's fully funded in 7 years. And you can turn off the insurance costs at that point. And it's still going to continue to grow and compound and still provide you with the death benefit. That's much higher than what you put into it. So how's that for an emergency fund? You get guaranteed growth. You get access to the money guaranteed. Now, when you access it, you're going to borrow against it. So there's a cost to accessing your money, but there's always a cost to using your money. This is one of the key things that I try and teach in this channel. Anytime we use money, there's a cost to it. Whether you're spending cash on something, you're getting a loan, you're borrowing against something, or you're saving it. There's always a cost to it. So here's the costs. One, if you're sitting on cash and you're just saving it, you're missing out on the opportunity to invest that cash, and you're missing out on the opportunity to spend it, right? You can only do one of those things. If you're spending it, if you spend the cash on something, so you got to buy a TV or a car, you spend cash on that. Now that money that you had is missing out on the ability to serve as an emergency savings. So you're not saving it, and you're not able to invest it, so you're not growing it. On the flip side, if you're investing that money, you're not saving it, because most investments are not super liquid, right? So oftentimes, not always, oftentimes you're not saving it. You don't have access to it like a savings account, like an emergency fund. And two, you can't spend it because it's investing. It's doing that one job. When we use whole cash value or whole life, when we use whole life insurance, high cash value whole life insurance, you can do multiple jobs there. One, you can save it. You're saving it inside that policy and you're getting a guaranteed growth. Two, it's giving you a death benefit. Now it's doing two jobs. Three, you can collateralize it so you can spend it if you need to. There's that third job. It's not quite investing because you're only going to get a little bit of growth, enough to combat inflation on a regular basis, okay? So it's good that it's doing that, but it's not quite investing. But you're getting three jobs there. Let's say you pass away in 10 years from now, okay? And you had a chunk of change that you had to choose what you were going to do of those three things. You can spend it, you can save it, or you can invest it. And then on the other side, we've got you put it in your whole life policy. Well, if you had a chunk of change and you decided to spend it, it's gone. If you decided to invest it, now it's growing. Okay, now it's growing. If you decided to save it, it's growing a little bit, right? A little teeny tiny bit, you're paying taxes on it. If you decided to put it in your whole life policy, and we talked about passing away in 10 years. You pass away in 10 years. If you invested it, you've got that chunk of change times X percent. 10%, 20%. In 10 years, let's say it went up 100%. If you had spent it, it's gone. You don't even have access to it. If you saved it, you just have access to the original amount, no gains, right? Maybe 1% extra, 10 years, right? If you put that money in your policy, you have a death benefit that's probably 10 or 20 times what you've started it with. So you pass away in 10 years, you got 1,000% growth. And if you borrowed the money out of that to go do your investing, you also have that. You have the investment returns to go along with it. So you got multiple returns there. You're much better off in that situation in 10 years. So that's the way I look at it. That's part of my channel. It's my pitch. If you guys are interested in talking about that, you can. If you want to talk further about that, I'm putting my link in the chat. You can always do a one-on-one with me. Oh, why is it not posting? Did I lose you guys? Did YouTube cut me off? I just went on a long rant and YouTube cut me off, didn't it? Looks like we're still connected. Okay, we're here. You guys scared me. There was no chats going on. But why is my thing not... It's not posting. Hang on a second. Let me fix this. I don't know why Streamlabs is not posting what it's supposed to be posting. Yes, my Stream Deck. I got a Stream Deck. It's supposed to be posting. Let's try that again. It's not working. Why is it not working? All right, hang on a second. YouTube doesn't like speeches over 15 seconds. No kidding. Sometimes I just go off on a rant and it just shuts me off right in the middle of it. And I have no idea. Okay, so there's my link. If you guys want to have a chat, one, watch my videos first. Because as I said at the beginning of this live stream, it's like drinking from a fire hose if you want to sit down and one-on-one and talk to me. But if you watch the videos that I did on it, it's called Infinite Banking or IULs. I've got multiple videos there. But it will tell you, I go into details, and you can learn this whole concept just by watching my videos. I try and put out everything on this. I go into every detail. It's all about transparency here, okay? I'm not selling these policies. They're selling themselves. I'm just educating you on it. Okay, if you like what you see, if you see a place for that in your portfolio, let's talk. If you have questions, if there's something that didn't quite get answered, maybe you missed some details, sign up, let's have a meeting, we can go over it. If you're not sure if there's a place for it in your portfolio, but you're interested. Talk to me. I can identify where it would fit in your portfolio. Oftentimes, this is not an investment, but it can take the place of a safe spot in your portfolio. So like maybe you have money just sitting in cash. Maybe you have money in your portfolio that's in a money market or bonds that are very low yield, but they're very safe. And so oftentimes our portfolios are designed to give us some aggressive and some very conservative, right? Well, that very conservative, maybe you don't need it to be in that very conservative spot in a portfolio, limiting your gains. We have some opportunities with the life insurance products that we offer, if it's designed correctly, to meet cash value needs, death benefit needs, but also access to it while you're still alive. But it gives you guarantees, and it's those guarantees, the protection against the downside, is where it can serve a portion of your portfolio. We're not going to talk, and I'm not going to tell you, oh, you should put all of that into the life insurance instead. It's a much better place for it, blah, blah, blah. You know, some people do that. Some people make that pitch, like their goal is to sell life insurance. No, that's not what I'm doing. My goal is to meet financial needs, solve problems, find out if there's a need for this as a place in your portfolio in order to maximize your portfolio, in order to maximize your cash flow. Okay? We're always trying to do our best to meet those needs. If I can't meet the needs, I'll tell you. I get some people that are like, hey, I don't have a need for life insurance. I don't need a death benefit. I don't have any heirs. I don't care about that. But what I want is I want some of those guarantees that go along with that. Okay, there might be a place for that. And in this case, I would talk about it and find out where most of your money's at and how much would make sense, right? Maybe you want to pass on some of your wealth to your favorite charity. That could be a need for a death benefit. And you can meet that need with a very small portion of it while providing some protection that you're looking for. Now, maybe there's other products. You know, I get people all the time that are like, you know, I'm thinking of taking money out of my Roth and funding my life insurance or funding a life insurance policy. And I'm like, ugh. I love Roths. Roths are really great. They're like one of the best tools out there. You don't really want to take money out of the Roth that's growing tax-free, and you're going to put it into something else that's growing tax-free. Like life insurance works very similar to a Roth, but provides you guarantees. It's great for people who maybe don't qualify for a Roth. Sometimes people call it the rich man's Roth because there's income limitations for being able to contribute to a Roth, whereas we don't have those income limitations on in our IULs. But I hesitate to say, take your money out of a Roth, put it into a life insurance policy. Maybe there's a way we can do both of those jobs, though. That's what I try and look for. That's where I try and figure out, is there a way that we can do both? That would be my preference. Is there a way that we can do both? All right, let's see. Henry the Patriot in the house. How you doing? All right, this thing jumped away. You guys have a lot of comments. Okay, good. How do I see the market next week with the inauguration? I think the market's going to settle down. We're going to see less volatility for the most part. Depends on if the inauguration goes smoothly, of course. There was a lot of threats about armed marches on all 50 capitals, so watch out for that. Be careful with what you're invested in when that happens. Might want to hold on to some cash just in case some uneasiness happens. When the insurrection event happened at the Capitol this last week, the market tanked immediately, and then it went back up because what happened after that is we finally had a moment of clarity from our political leaders that, oh, Joe Biden is actually the president-elect. There wasn't election fraud. And, you know, they worked together to certify that election, right? Congress did. That calmed the markets down almost immediately. It came back up. But if you panic sold, you missed out on it, right? Nobody knew about it ahead of time. Maybe some people knew about it ahead of time. If you knew about it ahead of time, though, you got out and you waited. And you bought in on the dip. Might be something to look at for next week. James, you have no such benefits. All that needs to be done is to torch your corpse, cast the ashes to the sea. Trina King, the SPAC is about to convert into an EV company. Oh yeah, NGA. That was already has a deal with Amazon to purchase 30% of the company. They're already providing test vehicles to Amazon. Very good. So it seems like a safe bet, right? How much of that is priced into it? That's what I need to know. How much of that is priced into it already? I don't want to get stuck holding the bag. Oliver, we need a 24/7 live stream. Got to get the food and drinks ready for all day and night Tesla trading. Yeah, that would be rough. That would be rough. Shut up and take my money. James, you have a small amount in savings for medical, mechanical emergencies. Good. Everybody should have that. Everybody should have that. Henry loves me talking. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Darius Wilder. James, finally caught a live chat. Must mean it's going to be a good night. Night shift power hour. Right on, man. Right on. Good talking with you today. Henry, you got to go insult Space Bears on StockTwit. See you in the morning. Okay. Have fun. Oliver, also important to have some easy access to cash and liquidity. Would love to invest it all, but you need some for an emergency. You can't wait 2 to 3 trading days to become available. Yes. Good point. Good point. That's, there's always a need. So let's talk emergency funds. Here's how I view the emergency funds that everybody should have. In your emergency fund, you should have cash on hand that is going to meet any immediate needs that you might have. So that might be like $1,000 or $2,000 cash on hand in a safe, right? Next step up, you have funds that are accessible within an hour. Those could be electronically. So those could be funds that are in your bank account that you can access through an ATM. You could go down to the bank and cash out. You could do electronic funds transfers. Okay? So something you can get, something you can get access to in an hour. That's going to be a little bit more. Maybe that's another couple thousand, 2,000 to 5,000, right? Then you have the larger bulk of your emergency fund that you don't need access to. Now, let's say you need access in a day to the next portion of it. Access in a day, that could be met with, or even immediately, right? Credit cards, lines of credit. Now, I say a day because maybe the bank's closed and you can't access the line of credit until the bank opens the next day. But using a line of credit is awesome. Using a credit card is awesome to meet those needs because it doesn't cost you anything until you use it. So it's just sitting there, waiting to be used, meeting your emergency funding needs. Now, by using that debt, it's not debt yet because you haven't used it, but by using the access to that capital as your emergency fund, it allows you to use your actual capital. It allows you to put the actual capital into something that can grow. That's where the whole life insurance comes in handy, or whatever other investment you feel safe enough putting it in, right? But you want to have access to it within a week. That's where the larger bulk of your emergency fund is. There's not going to be very many emergencies that you're going to have to meet that you need $60,000 or $100,000 within a week. Now, preferably your emergency fund is going to meet 6 months of your expenses, right? 6 months to a year maybe. But you don't need to tie up 6 months to a year of expenses in a savings account that earns you nothing. We can put it in areas that we can just get a little bit slower access to it. Now, I don't like it in the stock market. I don't like having the emergency fund in the stock market. It can work in some instances if, let's say, you have something like an M1 Finance account where you put money in the stock market and they give you access as a line of credit where you can actually pull the money out. So it's margin that you're going to be using, but it's a super low rate if you do use it. And they only allow you to do it on a small portion of your portfolio, so like 30% of your portfolio. So you're not going to get in the risk of a margin call. The problem is when you need to access that as an emergency fund, The what my concern is that it could happen when the stock market tanks, in which case it puts people at the mercy of the margin call. That is a bad time to try and be accessing that money because it might not be available. If margin requirements go up, you may not have access to it. Now, if you have a very large account and you just don't use margin in it, you've got a couple $1,000,000 in there and you've got access to $1 million or $700,000 in an emergency, that can meet your emergency needs. Okay, that would be just fine for meeting your emergency needs, as long as you can get access to it. Okay, but it's not going to meet all your emergency needs. You got to start off. You got to have that emergency needs that's in cash. You want to have access to it in an hour. You want to have access to it in a day. Know how quickly it takes you to get to that money. Know what hurdles are. What are the potential hurdles that you have to get over to get access to that money? And in an emergency situation, is it going to delay that? You need to identify all of these things when you figure out what you're going to use for your emergency fund. All right, next question. Someone said watching Bloomberg is basically watching financial porn, tickers flying around, big flashing lights. Stock Journey said that. That's funny. Catherine, good evening. You recently got divorced, acquired 50% of your ex-husband's 401k. Where should you transfer it? You've been a stay-at-home mom for years. You're not currently working. Good question. Good question. All right, let's see. You're not currently working. What type of financial needs do you have to... I mean, okay, there's so much that we're going to have to go into. I'm not going to be able to answer it all in this, obviously. But you're certainly welcome to sign up for a one-on-one with me and we can talk about it. What I would like to know is, what is your overall financial situation? I know that you have your ex-husband 401k. I don't know what you have saved up. I don't know what work you've done in the past. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your future plans are. I don't know if you have kids. I don't know what well, I guess I do know you have kids. You said you're a stay-at-home mom. I don't know how old everybody is, though. So what kind of financial needs do you have to meet right now? What are your skills? What are you planning on doing for work? What's the likelihood that you're going to need to continue to tap into that 401k before you can find some work? So we need to dig in and answer a lot of questions in order to figure out what we want to recommend. Okay? I wouldn't put it anywhere. I would probably transfer it to your bank account while you figure it out. Okay? Getting access to it is oftentimes the challenge. You might have, if it's still in his 401k, I don't know where it's at. I don't know where it would be at. You wouldn't have access to it if it's in his 401k. But you need to get access to it, and you want to have access to it to meet your current financial needs. So I would get it out of wherever it's at and then figure out what you want to do with it. And you're going to need to talk with some advisors. Okay? You can start with me if you would like. I'm always willing to tell you my limitations, so when we get together and talk. I have a wide variety of skills. I know a lot of stuff out there, but I don't do a lot of the stuff that's a possibility. But I can tell you about it, and I can kind of point you in the right direction. So if you want to talk, we can definitely do that. Let's see. YouTube has a wild band hammer. Swing like Bethesda did regarding Fallout 76. Even some people who don't like Biden's people are warning others to not participate. Something is very odd about that poster. It's in China colors too. Oh, is that the thing talking about the marches at the Capitol? Mosh, long time no speak. You're right, it is. I was wondering where you went. You're becoming a financial advisor in the New York area. All right, congratulations, man. Any tips? Don't rip anyone off. Try and be a good advisor. Not one of those bad ones. No, I would say that the biggest tip is to always try and put your client's needs ahead of your own. You always need to make an income, but you don't let it interfere. Don't let your need for a paycheck interfere with you meeting your client's needs. The client's needs always comes first. So if you're going to do some financial advising, I don't know if you're going to be in a situation where you're a fiduciary. If you are, you're bound by law, right? You're bound by law to put their interests first. But not every position is a fiduciary. As a life insurance agent, I'm not a fiduciary. I do not have those fiduciary responsibilities. A lot of life insurance agents don't provide good recommendations because of that. So you got to be careful if you're working with insurance agents that want to do some financial advising. Whose interests are they looking out for? Okay. Now that doesn't mean, because we're not fiduciaries, that there are not good people trying to help and do their best to help you. That's what I try and do. I know a number of people that do the same thing. Okay. The people who trained me on how to do this was not the insurance companies. It was not the people who got me into this business. In fact, they did not do a good job of that. But I sought these other folks out. I got trained on how to properly do it because that is my goal. I was a realtor for a long time, and we were fiduciaries. We always were putting our clients' needs first. When I owned my pressure washing and window cleaning business, I wasn't a fiduciary, but I always put the client's needs first. You know, it was all about getting the job done right, still providing a good price, but I was not afraid to lose money on a job if it meant that I had to fix something that got messed up. So you always want to find somebody who's doing the right thing. If you're doing that, Northwestern Mutual. Okay. So that one's, I'm not a big fan of Northwestern Mutual. That's interesting. So are you getting your life insurance license then? Or are you going to be serving in their stock side? Be interested to know. Anyways, yeah, just always put your client's needs first. The problem with Northwestern Mutual is you can only sell Northwestern Mutual products. And so the challenge with that, they have some decent products. Okay, I'm not getting at that. But when you have to try and meet a client's needs, what inevitably happens is you're going to try and meet their needs by shoehorning one of your products into meeting that need, or shoehorning them into that one of the products that they sell, because otherwise you don't get paid, you know, and they're going to go through training trying to teach you how their product might meet that need, but it might not be the best product to meet that need. Like Northwestern Mutual life insurance products don't give you the best return out there. They don't have a very good dividend rate. It's a decent dividend rate. It's a decent product, you know, but I look at designs that they do compared to what I do. They're not that great. Now that might be because of the agents that sold it to them. I have a client who started a $25,000 a year Northwestern Mutual policy last year. No, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. At the same time, right around, because they thought they were buying that policy to meet a death benefit need only. At the same time, they started a policy with me with Guardian, specially designed high cash value policy. That was $125,000 a year. This was a very large client, okay? We designed that for high cash value. He knew it. He did his research. He didn't have anybody in the area designing those policies. He had talked to the Northwestern agents, telling them what he was looking for. They couldn't help him out. They couldn't design it that way. They kept trying to say that they could. They basically put the hard sell on him. He didn't buy it. He worked with me. We got that started. He had started that Northwestern policy like a couple weeks before. The very next year, the anniversary date rolled around. He had to put another $125,000 into my policy, in the policy he signed up with me. And he was asking me how he can get out of the Northwestern policy and start another policy with me, because he wasn't happy with what the design was. The break even on that policy with Northwestern was like 15 years. The break even on our Guardian policy was like 4 years or 5 years, one of the two. That makes a big difference in the potential growth down the road, and with the access to that cash value, because he has opportunities that he would like to be doing with that cash value. So those are things to consider. Okay, you can sell other products. Good. So some of the agents are captive agents where they just work for Northwestern Mutual. If you're going to be an independent agent, that would be great. but I didn't think that Northwestern Mutual allowed independent agents or independent brokers. So if that's not the case, that would be good. Nick, this year is crazy. Hate doing it, but 2/3 in the market currently. You like to have 2 to 3 months worth of expenses available. Otherwise, you stick it in the market. Wish I could do 6 months. Hey, I hear you. You'll diversify as things get better. I totally understand that situation. We're all going to try and decide what we're comfortable with for risk. And those of us that are still in our accumulation phase are going to be taking more risks than others. So I recognize that, and I don't hold it against you. Some of us are behind the 8 ball, and we need to get those gains. We just have to realize that it does increase the risk, and be careful. Just be careful out there, okay? John Marshall, what is the best bank in Portland? I'm not in Portland, so I don't know. I'm a couple hours south of you. Portland has way more banks and credit unions available than I have down here, I'm sure. It's a much, much larger metropolitan area. I know On Point Credit Union is up there. They got pretty good deals. They got pretty good loans, HELOC rates. What are you trying to do with the bank? So that would be my question. If I'm trying to figure out what bank I want to use out there, I'm going to look to what products do they offer to meet my needs, and does it make it worthwhile for me to switch to them? So I'm using Northwest Community Credit Union as my main bank. And it's not even a bank, it's a credit union. But they offer me, when I moved everything to them, I had my HELOC through them. And I used my HELOC for doing dynamic banking. And when I'm doing dynamic banking with a HELOC, I want to have a checking account at the same place that I have my HELOC, so I can instantly transfer money between the two. It allows me to maximize my cash flow. So my first thing would be, where's your lines of credit? If you have a HELOC, where's that at? Can you do a checking account at the same place? Because the advantage of being able to instantly move your money like that and being able to offset interest charges is the greatest thing. That will probably save you more money than anything that the banks charge you outside of that. But of course, it's going to depend on what products you use. All right, so that's the thing. You got to find out what products you use. Find out what banks and credit unions are offering. Find the best deal. See if it meets your other needs. So you're going to have to probably make a list. What are your financial needs the bank needs to meet? Call some up. Find out where they're at on those needs, and then figure out which ones best meet it. But I can't tell you because I'm not up in Portland, and I haven't done a needs analysis. I don't know everything that you need from it. There's some banks that specialize working with small businesses, right? There's local banks, there's regional banks, and then there's national banks and international banks. So if maybe you have a need, maybe you travel overseas a lot, and you want to have a need to have access to your money in US dollars while you're overseas without having to convert it or without getting a terrible conversion rate. In that case, you should have an account with an international bank. Maybe your need is small business. You want a local company that's familiar with your business, is invested in seeing the local community thrive. So they may have different requirements for local businesses that they'll extend more money to you than a regional or a national bank would. There's all kinds of things to take into consideration. Hope that helps. Hope it helps. What do I think about being angel investing? That's risky. That is for the wealthy to do. If you can risk losing a lot. I mean, you're basically getting in before the business has proven itself. A lot of those can be successful. A lot of them are not successful. It's not a space I'm familiar in. I haven't never been one. But I would say if you have the opportunity, be careful. Make sure you're just doing money that you're okay to lose. Mosh, you're a sports trainer for revenue, looking to get educated. Okay, I think I remember that. And help people as much as you can, which is why you're going through training process, seeing how you can help people. Good for you, man. Good for you. I wish you luck. Northwestern is a good company. They're a big company. They have solid products. They have good guarantees. My approach to this is I like to work with whoever's offering the best products. And so I don't like to be tied to just one company. That's what makes me independent, right? I don't have to only recommend one company. If you find yourself in that situation, that's okay. One thing you can do is you can have a relationship with somebody that you can refer people to. So if you have a client, your product doesn't meet their needs, maybe there's an agent that works. I don't do New York, so you can't send them to me. But if they're outside New York, you can send them to me. And if you're a licensed insurance agent, we can split the deal. But you find another agent that does work with the other companies that offer products that might meet their needs better, and then you can just split it with them. So that's one way to address it. I don't know how your company would feel about that. I don't know what their training is, what they allow, but it is a possibility. As long as you're licensed. Life insurance, we can't split commissions with anybody that's not licensed. So like we can't offer rebates. It's considered an inducement, right? We can't induce people to sign up for a policy with us. How many different states am I licensed to do life insurance? Oh, let's see, a lot, and it's growing. I don't even know. I haven't counted it. It's probably 15 plus last time I checked. Maybe it's got to be at least 15. Basically, I work with people across the country, and if somebody works in a state that I'm not licensed in, I just get licensed in it. All I have to do is send them a little bit of money. Each state wants their little bit of a cut in order to give a license to sell products in their state. You don't have to take tests for every single state. You only take tests in one, and then you just have to give them money. You have to fill out the application and give them money. That's all they're interested in. Each state wants their cut. The most expensive state so far that I've had to buy my license in was Illinois, and that was $350. The least expensive state was Michigan, and I think that one cost me $10. That was a surprise. Most of them, it runs about $70 or $80 to get my license in that state. Some of them are over $100, but some of them are under that. Some of them are around $40. But the biggest one there was Illinois. Do you have to renew it? Some states you have to renew it, some you don't. Good questions. Some states renew every other year, and some states don't renew at all. So some states you're just licensed until you no longer have a license in your home state. Now here in Oregon, I have to get it renewed every 2 years, and I have to take education to do that. Now, if you have a license in one of those states, if that's your home state, there is probably an expiration that you have to renew because you have to take education every 2 years. You have to get like 30 hours of education just to renew your license. Depends on how much insurance you're doing. But 30 hours is for life insurance here in Oregon. And then most of the other states accept those requirements. They know what Oregon requires, and so they choose to accept that. So that's why some states go without any renewal. They figure if you're renewing it at your home state, you're good here. But if you started there, you're probably going to have to renew it if that's your home state. Other states have different requirements. Some of them, like Florida, that you got to send in your fingerprints. Boy, I think it's dinner time. I'm starting to not feel so hot. I'm running out of steam, guys. Anyways, hopefully that answered your question. I am running out of steam. We're going to have to finish up this live stream. Let me see. It's been a long day. I got to get some sleep, too. John Marshall, don't do margin. You don't do margin? Or you're saying I shouldn't do margin? I like margin. Where I'm at in my investing phase, I am in the accumulation phase. With what I'm doing in the market, I expect to get a return of 100% a year. That's my goal, minimum. Okay? 100% a year. If I can get margin for 2.5%, which I can with Robinhood, or 5%, which I can with Webull, or whatever the other rate is, I'm going to be able to turn that into a lot more money. So I'm okay using it, but I am willing to be very aggressive and put that money to work, because the strategies that I'm employing, a lot of it can be very safe. Now, I've been willing to throw a bunch of extra money at risky strategies, and I've lost a bunch. I've learned a lot from that. But there are underlying strategies that I'm using that are very safe. And my expected return, I'm trying to earn about 100% each year. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm willing to use margin. One of the things I'm looking at doing is I'm looking to start, I don't know if I should mention this. I'm looking to start offering, if somebody wants, I'm not licensed to do trading, so I can't trade for other people. I can't make recommendations for how other people should trade. But what I could do is I can accept loans. So if somebody wants to loan me money and I put that to work and give you a guarantee of like 10% return plus extra based on how I perform, based on what I can do with money that I borrow, I think I could probably do that. So I'm looking into that being a possibility, because there's a lot of people out there that just don't know how to do all this stuff, and they might have a need to earn a higher rate of return. And I'm willing to do that and provide guarantees on that, to where, yeah, maybe I try a little too hard on something, I mess up, make a mistake, lose a little bit of money, but I'm still going to provide the guarantee that I'm going to pay back X amount percent on what I borrowed. That's what I'm currently doing with my life insurance policies. I put money into it and I borrow against it. So I'm arbitraging that money. I think I could do a lot more. I just need access to more money. In fact, I know I can do a lot more. There are some strategies I've yet to employ that require some more money. So hopefully I'll be able to get access to some more money soon, instead of it having to wait for me to grow it. Because currently that's all that's holding me back, is I have to grow it. So far so good though. Mosh, sounds great. You've heard a lot. You're going to find out more. You'll be licensed also. Any tips on how to get meetings with people you know without looking like you're trying to get them? You hate calling. I don't do any calling. So the way I set up my business, I just started doing YouTube videos. I highly recommend it. It does a couple of things for you. One, it gives you a chance to learn your products, because if you're going to be talking about them on video, you're going to have to know what you're talking about. So you're going to learn it, and you're going to be able to put it out there. You're going to write up a script probably, and then you're going to read the script. That gives you something that you can continue to rewatch, so you can ingrain it into you, right? So if you're just starting out, being able to hear yourself talking about it, saying it, it helps you to learn it and absorb it. The other thing it does is it puts you out there and your personality, and people are going to be attracted to it. It's kind of self-selecting. I hear from a lot of people who are engineers or whose culture has basically taught them to be very detail-oriented. A lot of people like that. And that's because my videos go into a lot of detail. You know, I provide specifics on how these things work. And the people that like that detail and the transparency, they're attracted to that. And so they reach out to me because of that. They don't get that from any other provider, anybody else who does videos on this stuff, right? So that's the niche that I'm in. But they also decide from watching all of the things that I do, how sincere am I in helping? They may be attracted to my personality. They may, over the course of time, decide that I'm trustworthy. And so we're building this relationship through me putting those videos out there and them watching it. So I don't know the relationship is being built until they contact me, unless you participate in the live stream. Then we're building a relationship. And then we're both building it. But in their mind, when they're watching the video, they're already starting to build a relationship. And so a number of times I'll get in a meeting with somebody and they're just like, oh, I watched all your videos. Thank you so much. That's somebody who has paid attention. They've already learned a lot from the videos, and they've already decided that I'm somebody that they're willing to talk about their finances with. And that's a very personal discussion, right? You don't talk about most people don't talk about finances with their family. So it ends up being a very personal decision for people to be able to share that stuff. And so by putting yourself out there, you get the opportunity to start building that relationship and generating trust. So don't do anything to risk that trust. You're working on building it. Do your best to uphold that. Have a set of values that you're going to operate in with your business and your financial advice, and stick to it. And I think you'll do just fine. What am I having for dinner? I have no idea. When I came in here, the wife wasn't home, but she just got home. So hopefully she'll be making something, but if not, I gotta go. It'll probably be macaroni if I gotta go make it. No, it's not gonna be macaroni tonight. That won't meet my needs for tonight. I gotta go see what's out there. Can I also notarize? No, but my wife does. My wife's a notary. I never did get signed up as a notary. That is a good business opportunity. Mobile notaries, booming business. If somebody needs a side job, you might look into that. As you advance in the business, you'd love to possibly work together if it comes up. What email can you reach me on? James@OregonCashflowPro.com. John, you don't do debt of any kind. Cool. That's great. I mean, so you're in a position where you can live comfortably like that. I congratulate you. You might be in a position where you're past the accumulation phase, right? So now you're by using money to pay off all of your debt, you're protecting assets that you've already accumulated, right? For me, I'm at a different stage, but congratulations for you on that. There's no hate here, right? I'm not going to criticize you for it. To each their own. You've got to decide what you're comfortable with, and are you going to be able to meet whatever your goals are by doing it that way. And for a lot of people, no debt is the way to go. Some people are just not comfortable with debt, right? It makes them sick to think that they owe money to someone else. I can't tell those people, hey, you're doing it wrong. Because no, you got it. It's personal. It's personal. So a lot of times when we talk and I'm trying to figure out what to recommend, we always try and figure out, what's your personality? Where are your needs going to be met? Not just financially, but emotionally. Top Gun, leverage is good if you understand and mitigate your risks. Yeah, it can be. And that's my position on it, but I'm comfortable with that. Stock Journey, told you, man, let's merge this prop firm. I don't know what you mean by that. Top Gun, it's easy to capitalize on interest rate arbitrage. Yes. Yep. James, you don't go long on margin bought stocks. You use it to make quick gains and bail to use it on your bigger plays. You've been pretty much building up anywhere from 150 to 500 a day. Congratulations. That is a great way to use it. So, margin, if you're using margin from your brokerage, you only pay interest if you hold it overnight. If you just use it during the day, it doesn't cost you anything. So, if there's short-term plays, that's part of what you've got in your playbook. Right? You've strategized to make some short-term plays profitable. Great. I think margin's a great way to do that. Now realize you can get in trouble. If the market drops while you're in the middle of that play, hopefully you've got a plan to get out quickly so that you don't end up in trouble. That can be the challenge. How can you start a channel? You just start recording, man. Figure out what you want to talk about, start recording. If you need to, just sign up for a meeting with me. We can talk about it one-on-one. I've talked to a number of folks one-on-one about doing that. Endalk, will the recall hurt Tesla stocks tomorrow? I don't think so. I think tomorrow we're going to get an announcement about earnings day. We're going to get a date, and we're going to see it jump up because of that. That's my feeling. We'll see if it plays out. Now, it's contingent on us getting that date. The stock may dip, and I view this as a nice buy time. Mosh, you have like 20 plus clients in your sports training who trust you. How can I make that connection to financial advising? Good question. I'm out of energy tonight. Let's bring this back up next week. Or sign up for a meeting with me. But let's bring it back up next week. I'm going to have to shut it out. I've got to go eat. I'm out of energy. It's been a long day. I think, what did I get up? 14 hours ago. Yeah, I think I got up about 14 hours ago. So I'm about done. I appreciate all the questions. I hope I helped you out. We'll be back here again next week. Have a good night. Oliver, you never knew mobile notary was a thing. Your mother's a licensed notary. You're surprised it's still in demand during these times. Wonder if it's expensive. It is still in demand, and more so than ever. So check it out. All right, thanks everybody. I'm going to play you out with some music. Appreciate you joining me. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. And we're live again tomorrow morning. Every day the stock market opens. We're going to do a crypto live stream on Saturday morning. That's the plan for the rest of the week. So keep an eye out. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell, and you'll get notified every time we go live if you want to hop on. Take care. Take care. Top Cut, thanks for the tip. I just noticed that. Much appreciated.